at all of this issue. Bala Muhammad Shafiu, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and good morning, listener.
Thank you so much. Yes, when the Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC relaxed the strike yesterday, there was seemingly some kind of agreements that were reached. And you can see that for a lot of Nigerians, they heave a sigh of relief, looking at the untold hardship that stared everybody in the face. One, hospitals were closed, schools were closed, and so many amenities could not be used, and the NLC was already targeting markets, you know. That was actually a very serious situation for Nigerians. I wouldn't know if you share this sentiment with me.
Well, actually, Doctor, it is part of what we all Nigerians, feel or felt since the industrial action has been relaxed. But before then, we were all trying to picture a scenario where the labor will actually say, okay, shut down all markets in Nigeria. And, even when the markets are open, the situation in the country is so
tensed and
yes. Now to talk about shutting the markets down, honestly, I was, in a very serious situation when it comes to this issue of the national industrial action by labor. But honestly, I feel they are doing the right thing for the betterment of the country and the Nigerians. So I felt this would have done something very, very serious to Nigerians, but I feel, okay, doing it is the best way. If that is the best way, then we have to do it the way it should be. But for me, I know that the federal government will not allow this situation to reach that level. And the good thing is, Labour is willing, to actually make Nigerians and Nigerian government know that this time around, we are serious about it.
Exactly.
Especially with this light issue where the entire country, was in darkness, and it was a very, very serious matter.
Exactly, very serious matter indeed. Now, on the table of negotiations, there appeared to be some kind of meeting points, and that was why both parties have to go back now to make consultations. And for the next 5 days, Labour is expecting the federal government to come up with something that is acceptable. Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had directed the finance minister to prepare a living wage template. When they were moving away, Labour was still demanding for about 120,000 naira as a living wage, and the federal government is talking about preparing something above 60,000 naira, even though it was not clear how much the federal government is willing to prepare. Do you see 120,000 naira being the reasonable minimum wage for now, at least in view of the skyrocketing prices of commodities and services in the country?
Well, if you ask for my opinion, Doctor, I would say the 120 may not even be sufficient enough for Nigerian worker, going by what is obtainable in the markets, and in fact, the issue of pump price of petrol, going up, and it's 120 may not even be sufficient for a civil servant. But to look at the economic aspect of the country, even we can say that even if the federal government agrees to pay the 120 or above, they are doing what we call lip service, because when it comes to real payment of the salaries, we are also looking at the federal civil servants. We are not looking at the state civil servant, because even if federal government says, okay, the 120 is okay, we agree, approved, coming down to states, you will have some governors or states that cannot pay even the 60,000 the federal government initially was proposing. You will definitely have that kind of problem. So,
but some states are already paying 70,000. Like Edo State had paid 70,000. Lagos State have paid 70,000 as well. So probably most states could be able to afford the 60,000 naira that the federal government is proposing at the initial stage.
Yes, Doctor, you say more states. What we would be asking is how many more states can afford 60,000
Even
or
though
70,000?
Zamfara just started paying 30,000 minimum wage.
That is what we are
last
saying.
month.
That is so we have more states. Like since we have 36 states, I can tell you, Doctor, that we cannot confidently say that 50% of the states, like 15 states in the country, can confidently come out and say we will pay 70,000 or 60,000 naira minimum wage. I am not concluding, I'm not being judgmental, but based on what I am seeing in what is happening currently, I pray that we will not come back to state level and have serious issues, with regard to minimum wage. So what I am seeing, not the 120, what I am seeing is maybe around 70, 80,000. If because the labor says we will not accept a meager, addition to the 60,000 naira. Meager in the sense that if you say you are adding 5,000 or 10,000 to the 50,000, perhaps that's what they refer to as meager.
Yes.
But then let us look at also the fact that if federal government approves whatever it's able to conclude and approve, the payment is what we are talking about. We don't want a situation where government will be owing civil servants salaries.
But the government has made more money since the removal of subsidy than ever before. And for even sitting governors, even the president himself have come out to say that governors have received more than 5 times what they were receiving in the past. And for me, I feel that more money had already been sent to a state level, and therefore sitting governors should be able to come up with something reasonable rather than coming up with excuses of not being able to pay, for example.
Yes, that is another aspect of it. But to be very, fair to the governors and even the federal government is, let us have a situation, because Labour has given, I think, 5 days. Now, within the 5 days, let there be a kind of serious talk between the federal government and the state governments, so that at the end of the day, if the federal government says 70 or 80, we will not have a situation like I said earlier. We will not have a situation where we will have to come back to state and then be dragging between Labour state chapters and the state governors. We have the resources, if we are serious about it, to pay the civil servants. And also, whether we like it or not, once this minimum wage is approved, before the payment is even made, go back to the market, go and do survey, Doctor, now, of the prices of commodities. Then after the approval of the subsidy, go back to the market and make another survey to know how much, because definitely whether we like it, if we don't have price control, it will affect the minimum wage.
The inflation will overtake whatever increase
is going to be made.
Is going to be made. Now that even brings to mind the issue of super inflation, and that has already characterized our markets in Nigeria. Markets forces are allowed to take their natural course, and prices of commodities are already blowing the roof off. And you can see that at the moment, grains are gradually becoming unaffordable. Staple foods are very hard now to be put on the table in most families, and life is not just as usual. And don't you foresee a situation where super inflation is likely to come in, especially in view of the competing demands that are before a family head? For example, the school fees are there to be settled, hospital bills are there, food has to be put on the table, and so many other utilities and amenities that the family usually need over a period of a month. And to what extent do you think that the federal government should hasten in terms of coming up with a new minimum wage template? The president gave 2 days, but again, Nigerians are in a hurry to see the implementation of the new minimum wage, because as it is now, the living wage can't even take you to the next bus stop from your office, not even be a take-home package.
Well, like I said earlier, I don't want a situation where the federal government will even make a pronouncement based on what they feel they can afford to pay. Also, one important thing, Doctor, we should be looking at is if the minimum wage is approved by the federal government, and perhaps the NLC, agrees with the federal government to pay such amount, we should also look at issues that has to do with this petroleum, the removal of subsidy. If it depends on what the federal government will approve, but if what the federal government will approve cannot, make any positive impact on the civil servants and, of course, Nigerians, I think the Labour can stand its feet and say, okay, if this cannot be, the minimum wage cannot be met, then, make a kind of reverse with regard to what we, fuel subsidy, you understand? But if federal governments insist that we will not bring back the subsidy, then I think the president knows that Nigerians are watching, and Nigerians are in serious need for federal government support and response, because once you remove the subsidy, like he said in his speech, that there will be, programs and policies that will cushion the effect of this removal of subsidy. And this is 1 year plus. Nigerians will be asking, where is the renewed hope agenda of the president? And for the Labour and federal government to be dragging over subsidy, over minimum wage, I think the president should have a kind of rethink over some decisions made by federal government. And he knows that Nigerians are asking a lot of questions that he cannot answer. I know he has advisors, and there are a lot of people who have one or two advice to give to the president. And I I don't think we, like you said, we have recovered a lot more than even ever before, and we're still getting more. So if we have more, I don't think it's too, much for the federal government to pay 1,020 or 1,050. What I was even expecting is 200. Not because I am a civil servant, I am not one, but I feel that whether we like it or not, you mentioned schools, you mentioned hospital bills, you mentioned a lot of things, you understand? And for those who have families, whether they like it or not, if the family members are not workers, even if the increment is 200, it will not be
distributor.
Yes, it will not be sufficient for the civil servants. But at least let federal government do something meaningful, something tangible should be added to the 60,000. We should be looking at maybe 80, 90.
Or even 100.
Oh, 100, yes.
Thank you so much, Bala Mohammed Shafiu. Listeners, you can join us on this discussion through the number 09038808883. You can equally visit our Facebook page on Prestige FM to send in your text message. The program is Nigeria Today, and don't forget that we are discussing the directive given by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the Finance Minister Wale Edun to prepare the new minimum wage template within 48 hours. And the NLC had also, in response to that, relaxed the strike action and is waiting patiently and for the federal government to come up with something reasonable. And of course, the negotiations will still be on, even as the finance minister is preparing this. Consultations are ongoing to ensure that a very safe ground is arrived at, so that Nigerians can move forward and continue to earn their living, and also the country can take the next bend away from the current economic quagmire that we have found ourselves as a result of the removal of the fuel subsidy, which both the government and the citizens of Nigeria are not prepared for. And we have the first caller here. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Dr. Antala.
Morning.
Good morning, Uncle Bala.
Good morning.
Dr. Dr. Dantala, I must commend you always for enlightening us on a daily basis.
Thank you.
This MDL from Papu.
Okay, go ahead, MD Awal.
We must commend Mr. President for having that foresight to urge Minister of Finance, you understand, go and prepare the template within 48 hours. We must commend him for that. You can see he's showing a lot, some certain concern. He's showing a lot of concern, you understand, about the plight of the workforce and likewise the Nigeria entirely. Having said that, Dr. Dantala, you can see this strike, we don't even pray for NLC to go on strike anymore. You can see just for 1 or 2 days, the strike was going on. Dr. Dantala, you can see the kind of dimension we find ourselves. So it's very, very unfortunate, honestly, that the federal government has to allow labor, you understand, to go on strike before the federal government will said probably they want to issue a template or, you understand, to resolve the issue. But all the same, you understand, since the issue has been resolved, you understand, we pray it shouldn't reoccur again. Allah continue to see us through and rescue us in this country. That's my take.
Thank you so much, MD Awal from Pakungu. And like I said, you can view us live on our YouTube page on Prestigefm91.7mx, and you can equally view us on our Facebook page on Prestigefm917mx. You can equally drop your message there to make your contributions to the program. Hello, good morning.
Dr. Dantala, good morning.
Morning.
Malam Bala Shefiu, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ambassador Gebu the Challenger. I'm calling you from Tudumfuna Miti. My own advice to federal government this morning is this. Please, they should be specific. They shouldn't be using tricks or logic. They said they are going to upgrade it above 60. They should be specific so that Nigerians will know how far they want to go pertaining upgradation of this minimum wage. Secondly, it's not even the increment that matters. Malambala, number one, my president is the president of this country, and at the same time, he's the minister of petroleum. He should come and address Nigerians, you understand, pertaining removal of this fuel subsidy, so that this fuel will be subsidized at a very cheap rate. Secondly, there is what we call, you understand, price control. It should be implemented. They should implement it. It will be a little bit much better. It will provide succor for the poor people to go to the market and buy. Thirdly, you understand, CNG buses should be available, should be going around at a very cheap rate to ease the massive suffering. Railway is the cheapest means of transportation. It's not working effectively. If railway is working effectively, at least it will ease the massive suffering too. So please, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu should step up and do the needful.
Thank you for your contribution. And when you look at several of the competing demands before heads of families and family members, you discover that they are enormous, and in all of these competing demands, they are all yearning for attention, especially issues of school fees of children. And the private sector had agreed on that 60,000 minimum wage. And now that the strike, the negotiation between the NLC and the federal government is still on, to what extent do you think issues around school fees and increased bills of hospitals and all of that can, to what extent do you think the new minimum wage can help to accommodate some of these things?
Doctor, I have said it, and I will repeat it again, that the implication of even private sector saying we agreed with the 60,000 minimum wage is a day will come when you will send your child to a school that is cheaper, maybe, for example, 15,000. If they approve and agree with the 60,000, you should be expecting 30,000, not less than 30,000 per child.
Exactly.
Now, if it is 30,000, do not be expecting that it will be 30,000 the same. It will be 60 because it's a business. And if they agree to, increase the salary of staff, where will they get the money? It's from the parents. And you and I are the parents. So if the government is increasing to that amount, and then private sector is now telling you that 60 is okay by us, meaning they will increase their staff salary to to 60, they will get the money from you and I.
Exactly.
So school fees will not be the same again. Let us have it at the back of our minds that if federal government increases this salary and the organized private sector agrees and increase the salary of their staff, they will not get the money to pay their staff from federal government. They will get it from you and I. And that is why I said even the 120 may not be sufficient. It may not be, doctor. So what I am seeing is without price control, with these other things like school fees and hospital bills and what have you, if you want to have the best services in Nigeria, unfortunately, you have to go to private sector. If you are talking about schools, go to public schools. You will just have to manage to send your child.
Same with health.
Same with health. If you want to have a very good, medical attention and services, you have to go to a private hospital where you can be at least having this kind of attention. You understand? But how much are you going to be paying? How much are you receiving as a salary earner? And what the other dependents in the family who will always be looking at, okay, the minimum wage has been increased now, so and so person, they are getting more money, so let us go to them with our problems. And if you don't have that kind of empathy towards your family members to some extent, you will have a problem.
Exactly.
So that is another major challenge. So what I am seeing is more problem coming, and then the payment of the government may not address the problem that we are likely to see in the future. That is my take.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go back to the line again. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello? Okay, we've missed this one. 09038808883 is the number to call in and join us on this discussion. And we have another one again. Hello, good morning.
Dr. Dantala, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Alaji Bala.
Good morning, sir.
Dr. Dantala.
Yes, sir.
In those days, I can still remember there was a musician that sang a song that the more money you come across, the more problem we see. I think if I'm not mistaken. Doctor, already what has happened has happened. If not, the issue of minimum wage should not even arise. I was expecting labor right from day one when Bismarck said he has removed subsidies, the labor should also go on strike. Until when the board party have agreed that yes, you want to remove subsidies, we have agreed, then this is what you can do for us. If you have agreed, you go ahead and remove subsidies. But if you cannot agree, let it be the same way it is. But unfortunately, they've given you more than enough time. Now we want to bargain. See, doctor, palliative was an insult. Take it or leave it. We are still coming back for another one. Now, minimum wage, we are seeking for it. That is a very big insult too. Take it or leave it. I know a lot of people will not be happy. It's always good to use a privilege to say the truth. Minimum wage is also an insult. Let people be prepared just like the way they are happy they are going to get more money. Other way around, they should pay it. The school fees also go high. Hospital bills, electricity bills, and other things. Prices of food also go higher than the way we are experiencing it now. Either they like it or not, that is the truth. Normally, if you are trying to bring a policy like this, there should be a provision even before the policy that yes, I want to remove subsidy. This is what I can do for my citizens. It doesn't need to wait for labor. I'm negotiating on minimum wage. If he's waiting for labor, doctor, I'm sorry to use this word, he's a wicked leader. Sincerely speaking, you are expected to make a provision to make sure that your people did not suffer the policy you are bringing. But since he's waiting for us or waiting for leaders to say, labels to say, They are negotiating on how the indigents will get a soft landing. Sincerely speaking, is a very wicked leader. And it won't be too late for him. What we need, mainly, doctor, I am telling you, have made a lot of inquiries. If the PMS is bringing down to 300 naira, sincerely speaking, is going to touch everybody positively, including the poor, the average, and the rich. We are going to get it favorable. But this issue of minimum wage, I am telling you, we shall come back to the same studio and start regretting to demand for more minimum wage. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jimo, for your contribution from Bidda. We have a message here from Abdullahi Suleiman HOD. He's saying, good morning. Increasing the minimum wage is not good enough if many states cannot implement such policy. The only alternative to this hardship is bringing back the subsidy to a considerable amount so that civil servant and non-civil servant can patronize nationwide. Thank you so much. The subsidy is gone, and a lot of Nigerians are yet to be in terms of that reality. Subsidy will not come back again. It is gone, and it has gone. And the earlier we bid it goodbye, the better, because no government will want to bring back the subsidy again. But again, government at the initial stage came with palliatives. But the palliatives, if I may borrow Jumo's term, was an insult on the eyes of the underprivileged. A whole lot of family of 12 is given one pack of spaghetti. In some instances, a mudu of rice is taken to an entire household. You know, that was an insult on the eyes of the underprivileged. And, you know, those who are affluent and those who are the supposed owners of the country didn't feel anything about it. And after some times, palliative became ineffective. Now we are talking about minimum wage, and the minimum wage is still dilly-dallying. Nobody is certain about the amount that will be approved by the federal government. Now, if these things continue in this manner, and the rate at which prices are also going up, don't you think inflation may not even allow the Nigerians to even enjoy the minimum wage itself?
Well, Doctor, let us start from the issue of removal of subsidy. Even before he became the president, even during campaigns, there were, you know, instances where the major contestants mentioned it publicly that they will remove subsidy.
Exactly.
So it's part of the campaign that we will remove subsidy because few are enjoying from the subsidy and majority are suffering.
Removal of subsidy was a meeting point for all the candidates.
All the candidates. So for me, talking about even bringing back the subsidy is like daydreaming. So for now, let's talk about what is how to forge ahead. Now, talking about the inflation and you know, things that will touch or make the lives of Nigerians be impactful is the fact that we are known to be a country where we can reliably and confidently say we can feed ourselves.
Exactly.
But due to insecurity issues, a lot of farmers have abandoned the farms. And what I was even thinking is the 1 year Mr. President has stayed in the office, he should have done more. We are not saying he has not done anything in respect of this issue of insecurity, but he should have done more than what he has done in the past 1 year. And if we have this security and for our farmers to go back to the farms and to do what they are supposed to do, there's also the need for federal government to also assist farmers. You know, when we say assistance, this has to do with making available all the necessary tools and resources to make them to do that which is the best in their farms, and that will also affect the economy positively. Also, talking about inflation, definitely, since we don't have this regulation of prices in our country, everybody will come with his or her prices of commodities. Even if you are selling the same thing, you will find a shop selling 100 naira and the next shop is selling 120, and nobody will ask why. You know, this is, unfortunately, this is what is happening in the country. And the government seem not to be interested in doing something about that. You can find filling stations. Filling station A will be selling his own price, and the next filling station will be selling a different price, and nobody is saying anything about it. So even if the salary is being increased, you know, I don't think it will be, you know, kind of sufficient for workers. This is unfortunately what we have to bear, you know, and perhaps the government will find a way of maybe changing the direction towards which Nigerians will feel, you understand, better in terms of leadership and in terms of, you know, running the affairs of the country as a president.
Exactly. Okay, thank you so much. 09038808883 is the number to call in and join us on this discussion. And we are looking at the directive given by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the finance minister to prepare a living wage before the 5 days relaxation period of the strike action embarked upon by the Nigerian Labour Congress and the TUC. You can continue to join us on this discussion through the number 09038808883. You can equally visit our Facebook page on Prestige FM to send you a text message. We have another call here. Hello, good morning. Okay, we've missed this call. We hope you call back again to make your contributions to the program. Don't forget also, Bala Mohammed Shafiu is the analyst this morning, and we are ensuring that we give you the best and nothing but the best. Okay, Bala Shafiu, from here now, how do we forge ahead now as a nation? Because the NLC had told the federal government to create more room for employment in schools, in hospitals, and the government is already creaking under the weight of this wage increasement. How can the government employ more workers with this issue of minimum wage now that they are saying is too much?
You see,
you know, it's part of the NLC demand.
Exactly. And I want the NLC and Nigerians to know that it is not going to be easy for the federal government to approve whatever demand the NLC is putting forward. But we will definitely ask for more, like you said, as Nigerians, from our leaders. But then saying, let us have an increment in the salary of our staff or of the civil servants, and then also increase the number of you know, employees in the country. This will amount to you know, not really doing what is supposed to be done as a nation. If you have more you know, staff, or if you have more workforce in the civil service, it means you have more to pay, and that is why the president asked the Minister of Finance to go back and do the, you know, calculation, deal with the number, and then come back to him, you know. But the truth is, we cannot have more, you know, people being on the payroll with the demand of the federal government, the Labour Congress, in terms of increase in the salary. But what I want Nigerians to know is, people can be, you know, more, you know, productive when they have more skills and businesses to run. But like I said, but with the support of the federal government, because they cannot do it on their own. Government needs to, you know, design, you know, some programs and policies that will help these small business owners and people who have the skills to do one or two things that will be of benefit to the generality of Nigerians. And then let us do it sincerely, because as a leader you have to be sincere. And if you have people who are around you that are not sincere, being sincere is to do away with those kind of people and bring in people that will be, sincere enough to work with you. Whether we like it or not, the president alone cannot do it. He needs people who are sincere to work with him to achieve that which is the best for the country. But for now, to forge ahead, we cannot depend 100% on the government. People who have gone to school, have graduated, and they are waiting for government to employ them. You understand? And that cannot be feasible for government to say we will employ every graduate that comes out of school, we will employ them. No, we cannot. Government cannot do that. But if you have a business, if you have a skill, if you need to, be an employer, yes, to be an employer of labor, if there's a system, there's a policy that will support you financially and otherwise, government can do that to help you, to help the nation. Because whatever you are going to give to someone who is an entrepreneur, who can employ other hands from Nigerians, at least it will reduce the amount of pressure.
Deficit,
exactly, and then unemployment in the country.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go back to the line again. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Professor. Good morning.
Morning.
I think Prince Elijah will be had this photo.
Okay,
Also,
go ahead.
you see, the issue of people we were talking about, after this, since Monday they have been talking, a week now, they give a week to go back, or 5 days to go and decide how much they will increase. If we need Senate and Rep and other, they did discuss with the public, they increase their salary. What are we talking about civil servants? I think this is the time now. Our president should look over what is happening in the National Assembly. They are these people in that side. They are there for their selfish and not interest of Nigeria. They are the scamming Nigeria citizens who cannot vote for people for four years. After that, you don't see anything in this country. You don't see anything like this country is going more forward. Either back. For what? What are we talking? It is in Nigeria we're talking about. You can go through after Africa, all the Africans who have independence, who before us. The mess we are facing in this country today, we are not facing it because of the corruption. They have corrupt this country before they put out of their ability. And now they are coming back with the national item, being beating opposed to us. And if not 5 days, then they are proving. Whilst I was talking about the president, he was there. You need there in Abuja to focus about the people who vote for him. After 4 years, to determine is he going to go back for the president or what? Who vote him? If Nigeria and citizens are trying for no eating and they are suffering, they cannot be able to use the treatment. You cannot carry yourself and go buy Panadol, paracetamol. Instead of the corruption in our leaders, who must not keep quiet and be looking those nonsense. They cannot scam my father, scam me, they will scam my children. Who never accept that. If the time of everybody should come out and fight this thing to destroy, so that we will know what is going to determine the next 4 years. That's all the truth about it.
Okay, thank you so much. That is just the truth about it. And Umar Dan Azumi is saying, if you increase the price without negotiation, you don't need any long negotiation to increase the minimum wage either. State and local government being at the grassroots should have been considered first, not the federal workers as usual. Well, the federal government only have the federal workers to contend with, and state governors are to contend with state workers, while the council chairmen are to contend with council workers. Jafar Ibrahim Bindiga is saying, good morning. My major concern as a citizen is price control of commodities, fuel hiking, and tackling the issue of insecurities. Even if they will increase the minimum wage to 200,000 naira, if we don't have the above mentioned qualities, we are going nowhere. Whereas the minimum wage is for the civil servant, not all the people. May Allah see us through this mess and bring ease to the citizens. I mean, thank you so much, Jafar Ibrahim Bendega, for your contribution. Okay, we've missed this one. 09038808883 is the number to call in and join us on this discussion. And we also have some messages here. Jibo M. Jemaku is saying good morning, and your guest in the studio. To be sincere, in person, I'm not in support of lifting the strike. The labor shouldn't have stopped it unless a reasonable amount of 120,000 naira is reached to the final result. Well, may the Almighty see us through. Amen. Comrade Mohammed Awal Umar is saying, to me, is a slab who, to me, is a slab which country to a country like Nigeria to be battling with NLC over minimum wage. In Nigeria, a politician